Hi, welcome to this week's Macworld video. I'm your host, Senior Editor Dan Frakes. Every week in my Mac Gems column, I cover great low-cost software, but it's difficult to grasp just how good some products are without actually seeing them in action. So I'm going to spend the next few minutes showing you one of my favorite add-ons for Mac OS X, Default Folder. Even better, I'm going to show you the upcoming version 4 of Default Folder, which adds Leopard compatibility, a new interface, and some great new features.
After installing Default Folder, Open and Save dialogues are surrounded by a translucent bezel that provides you with a slew of new options. Let's take a look at some of the new options in the Save dialog. You'll notice the 5 buttons along the right-hand side of the dialog, as well as a new Spotlight Comments box at the bottom. The top button, which looks like a D, provides access to the main Default Folder menu, which offers a number of general options. The flagship feature, which gives Default Folder its name, lets you set the currently displayed folder as the default folder for the current application. In other words, if you're working in Microsoft Word and you've navigated in the Save box to a folder called Work, you can choose the Use as Default Folder command. From that point on, the Work folder will always open first when you save or open a document in Word. This menu also offers a number of ways to work with the currently viewed folder from right there in the Save dialog. You can open the folder in the Finder if it's not already open, reveal it in the Finder, rename it, get information about it, move it to the trash, or even create a zip archive out of it. Without Default Folder, you'd have to close the dialog, navigate to the folder in the Finder, perform the action, and then come back to the program and open the Save dialog again. The other 4 buttons provide ways to quickly access particular folders and volumes when saving files. The Computer menu lets you switch directly to your desktop or home folder, or any mounted volume. Volumes in the home folder are actually hierarchical menus, so you can go directly to any subfolder. The Favorites menu lets you designate and quickly access favorite folders. You can also switch immediately to the designated default folder for the current application, for example, if you've navigated elsewhere and you want to go back, or to go to the folder enclosing the application itself. If you find that you want to go back to a folder that you recently browsed in the dialog, the Recent menu lets you do just that. Finally, the Finder menu shows all the folders currently open in the Finder, so you can save files to one of them. After all, if you're working on a project, there's a good chance that the folder you want to save to is already open. At the bottom of the Save dialog is a Spotlight Comments box. If you take advantage of Spotlight Comments to use smart folders or to search for files, this feature lets you add those Spotlight Comments right from within the Save dialog as you're saving your files. A handy menu to the right gives you a list of recently applied Spotlight Comments. Choose one to apply it to the current file. You can also apply one of the Finder's labels to the current file using the Label pop-up menu at the bottom of this box. Now let's see what Default Folder does to open dialogs. With Default Folder installed, Open dialogs get many of the same options as Save dialogs. For example, the 5 quick access menus on the right-hand side. But you also get some unique features that are especially useful when browsing for files. For example, a display below the dialog shows you a quick look preview of each file as it's selected. If you'd like to take a closer look, click on the Zoom button to get a full screen preview, or you can manually resize the box to make the preview larger or smaller. Default Folder is actually using Leopard's Quick Look technology here, and it makes you wonder why Apple didn't include this functionality itself. Buttons at the top of this box let you access other features provided by Default Folder. For example, you can get information about the currently selected file and even assign Finder color labels. As with Save dialogs, you can assign Spotlight Comments from right here in the dialog. However, you don't get the handy menu of recently applied comments. Finally, Default Folder lets you view and change access privileges for the selected file. You can't change who has access to the file, but you can change what that access is. Now I'd like to show you what just may be my favorite Default Folder feature. I often find that when I'm saving or opening a file, the folder I want to use is already open in the Finder. I just want to switch to that folder in the dialog. In the video here, I've got a new unsaved numbers spreadsheet. If I move it out of the way, you'll see that I have 4 Finder windows open behind it. When I bring up the Save dialog to save this file, you'll notice that as I move the mouse cursor over one of those Finder windows, which are still behind the numbers document, I see a darkened outline of the Finder window and a floating label with the window's name. But here's the cool part. If I click on one of these windows, the Save dialog switches to that folder. In other words, I can change the folder I'm browsing in the Save dialog by simply clicking in any open Finder window. This also works in Open dialogs. As long as any part of a Finder window is unobstructed by other Finder windows, you have direct access to that folder in Open and Save dialogs. Of course, you could get the same result using Default Folders Finder menu, which I showed you earlier, but I personally prefer this point-and-click approach.
As I mentioned, Default Folder 4 isn't quite finished. St. Clair Software anticipates a release sometime in December. Keep an eye on Macworld.com for the official news, and visit the MacGems weblog each week for the best in Mac OS X software. Thanks for watching.